Bhupat Patel is an old hand at this. He's been farming since he was a teenager here in eastern Madhya Pradesh, growing pulses and cereal crops. But these aren't Patel's fields. Today, he's at a friend's farm in the midst of the wheat harvest, and he's struggling with painful memories. In mid-March, unseasonal hail hit the neighboring district where Patel's own 4-acre farm is located. The storm battered his crops and pushed him to a mental breakdown. The hailstorm completely destroyed my chickpeas. I had borrowed money to sow the crops. My first thought was, how will I repay the loan? I was shocked. I couldn't think straight. I swallowed some pesticide to end my life. Patel was rushed to hospital, where he spent days recovering. He's still weak and suffers from frequent dizziness and nausea. He's not sure when he can work again. At the beginning of the year, Patel took a bank loan of over 2,500 euros to buy seeds and fertilizers, rent a tractor, and hire a farmhand. He also borrowed from money lenders to cover his family's expenses. The debt burden kept growing. Our crops are our lifeline. If they fail, where do we get money from? I now have no source of income for the rest of the year. I felt there was just no way out for me. I wanted to die. Bhupat Patel is not an isolated case, and it's not confined to states like Madhya Pradesh. Across India, hundreds of debt-riddled farmers have committed suicide over the years. The agrarian crisis is a major issue in the ongoing Indian election, with all political parties trying to woo farmers. On the outskirts of Jabalpur, the opposition Congress party is holding a campaign rally. Its leader, Rahul Gandhi, is promising a separate budget for farmers, a complete loan waiver, and is vowing that criminal proceedings will not be allowed against farmers who default on their loans. Nearly 70% of India still relies on agriculture for a living. Experts say there's a lot of political rhetoric around this huge voting bloc, but little will to tackle the underlying crisis.
What India needs to do, what political parties need to do, is to go into the root of the agrarian crisis on how farmers and farming can become the crucial engine of economic growth in India. That's where the solution is.
For now, there's no sign of that. At the local wholesale market, farmers have come in from surrounding areas to sell their grain and vegetables. The government sets fixed prices for certain commodities to incentivize production. But farmers here say they're not getting those prices. The overriding view here is that farming simply isn't viable. For Bhupat Patel too, there's little hope left that things will change. He sees no future in farming. All he wants is for his son to find a job, far removed from the precarious world of agriculture.
Joining us for more is Professor Himanshu. He teaches economics at Delhi's Jawaharlal Nehru University. Professor, good to see you. Now, India's farming crisis has been going on for quite some time now. Why has it not yet been addressed?
Well, there are a number of reasons for this, but let me just say that agriculture share in the GDP is now less than 15% now. So it's not in the priority list of the governments who are trying to drive growths further up compared to other countries. But also because the nature of agriculture has changed. Agriculture has become much more vulnerable because of the globalization of the economy. The nature of production in the agriculture sector has changed. It's become much more cash-based. But also, governments over the years have been not investing as much amount of money as is required for an agriculture, which has changed dramatically in the last 20 to 30 years. So I think a combination of all these factors has led to a situation where agriculture continues to remain vulnerable to external shocks, weather shocks, as well as domestic internal economy shocks.
You spoke of money there. Now, in terms of money, both the ruling BJP and the opposition Congress have offered financial support for farmers in their manifestos in this election season. Is that the right approach, you think?
I mean, obviously, they are all, both of them, I mean, in fact, all political parties, whether it is the state government or the central government, are trying to treat the symptoms. When the crisis is on the street and farmers are on the street protesting against low prices or the crisis in the economy, this, I think, is the best solution that the politicians could think of. But remember, this does not address the real reasons as to why the economy is in crisis. And I think the amount of money which is now being given as a symptomatic relief kind of a thing, if it was invested back in the structural issues or on issues which basically lead to a better productivity and better incomes to farmers over a long period of time, that would have had a much better result compared to this kind of situation where every 5 years or 10 years, you keep on pumping money to in the agrarian economy, more as a dole, more as some kind of a short-term solution, rather than as a long-term investment in agricultural economy.
What really would you say needs to be done to tackle this farming crisis?
I mean, a lot of things need to be done. I mean, the first thing, I think the first and the foremost in that sense, is to bring agriculture back on the priority of economic policy making. In the sense, agriculture may not be contributing much to the GDP, but it still is where roughly half of the entire workforce is. And therefore, for livelihood issues, agriculture is something which is very, very serious. But the nature of agriculture has changed, and that needs to be understood. It cannot be the old style green revolution kind of a method that is what the governments are still trying to, or the subsidy related mechanisms that the government is still trying to pursue. It has become much more vulnerable, much more monetized, much more cash based, and it has also become much more difficult to predict what is going to happen in terms of agricultural prices. So I think you need a kind of a series of policies to bring together all these issues, think of new ways of dealing with agriculture, bring new understanding of what the challenges to agriculture are, and then only you can think about finding solutions to the problems.
Thank you very much for explaining that to us. Professor Himanshu from Delhi's Jawaharlal Nehru University. Thank you.
Thank you.